and welcome. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers got themselves a win yesterday, and now sights get set forward towards the playoffs. The Bucs, of course, needed to win to get in. They had to beat the Carolina Panthers on the road in Carolina, a divisional opponent. I actually talked about it in my article on Bucs Nation. I kind of expected the game to be closer than a lot of people thought, though I did not expect entirely to see the result that we saw. I think a 9-0 victory is great because it's a victory. Beyond that, definitely some concerning things you see in this game. The Buccaneers playing against a team that has little more to play for than pride, and they struggle in a lot of different areas. Key things to take away from the game: the Buccaneers don't win this game if not for a few players and a few plays. Chase McLaughlin, when Ryan Suckup was kind of ixnayed from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I was someone who was a little bit, I questioned it. I knew Suckup, of course, he had his shortcomings, right? He's more of an accurate kicker, not the strongest of legs, but a guy who consistently made his kicks when they were within his range. And that's something that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had not had for a long time prior to his arrival. You also knew he was a clutch kicker who could be relied upon in big spots to make his kicks. That was important to me. And Suckup was a big part of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl run, and throughout the playoffs did not miss a single kick, including a 50-plus yarder actually in the Super Bowl. When they brought in Chase McLaughlin, of course, his career up until this season had not been nearly as impressive as this season. Chase McLaughlin has been tremendous this year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That was an outstanding pickup by the Buccaneers. Very slept-on move in the offseason. Not a lot of people talk about special teams or kickers, and that's fine, but Chase McLaughlin deserves a lot of credit. The Buccaneers obviously don't win this game without him. Take away his points, and it's a 0-0 tie. Nobody scores. Chase McLaughlin goes 3 for 3, including a 57-yard kick in what was a relatively windy day in Charlotte. I think that the contributions of McLaughlin all season have been crucial for the team, but in a game like today, you see what the difference is when you have a good kicker versus not a good kicker, right? Carolina Panthers 0 for 1 on their field goals. The Bucs go 3 for 3 on their field goals, and ultimately on the scoreboard, that's the difference. The other two key plays that kind of win the game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if you will, Antoine Winfield Jr. And you can't say enough about this guy. Antoine Winfield Jr. is a player who, he's a free agent after this season, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, of course, drafted him in the high second-round pick in 2020, and he has been nothing but a full-fledged superstar since he joined the team. And he seems to somehow just continued to elevate his game year after year. He is playing some of the best football. Really, he might be, just right now, in terms of where everybody's playing, he might be the best player on the team. And Winfield Jr., for the second time this season, big play for the opposing team, about to walk in and score a touchdown. DJ Chark, huge catch and run, dives for the goal line. Winfield Jr. makes an outstanding hustle play to get over, not even his area on the field to cover. Gets over there, strips the ball. Buccaneers wind up recovering in the end zone for a touchback. If you remember, he also did that against the Atlanta Falcons and Desmond Ridder earlier this season, stripping the ball at the 1-yard line while Desmond Ridder was going in to score. Winfield Jr., just a tremendous player. Whether the Bucs pay him, someone else pays him, he deserves every penny of the contract that he will receive. He is undoubtedly a worth it investment for any team moving forward. Another play that obviously ices the game is really a two-play sequence. The Carolina Panthers down 9-0 right after the Buccaneers offense had put the last Chase McLaughlin field goal on the board and taken their first two-score lead of the day. The Carolina Panthers actually have a pretty successful drive into Tampa Bay Buccaneers territory and rip off a huge run that goes all the way for a touchdown. Gets called back due to an illegal formation on the Carolina Panthers. And the very next play, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, a guy who has been pretty much silent for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers almost since the team drafted him. A high draft pick that has not turned out. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, however, shows up and makes a huge play. Flies off the blind side, strip sack on Bryce Young. Recovery by Greg Gaines. And that was pretty much the game. And another good thing you like to see, if we're just taking pros from the game, The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were able to grind out the clock at the end of the game. They got the ball back with over 4 minutes left on the clock, held the ball the entire remaining time in the fourth quarter up until the 2-minute warning where they had the opportunity to take knees, and did not even have to score on that drive, just methodically moved it down the field with a lot of Rachaad White, a lot of run game. Always good to see a team be able to grind out a 4-minute drill like that. The Buccaneers have done that a couple times this season, and it's satisfying to see, to say the least. Now, some concerning things. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going into the playoffs. They're going to be playing the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Eagles, I mean, they're in the midst of their own nightmarish collapse with a ton of issues. The Eagles have their own stuff going on. But for the Buccaneers, 2 games in a row, after a fantastic win streak where everything was clicking, everything was going right, and the Bucs looked phenomenal. 2 games in a row, the Buccaneers offense has looked really lost. Baker Mayfield has struggled. He's taken sacks. He's missed receivers. He's not looked like the Baker Mayfield from the win streak. The Buccaneers' run game not been quite what it was during the win streak. Rachaad White did finish with, I believe, 75 yards today, which is not terrible. Chase Edmonds had a couple really nice carries off the bench. Edmonds, as the season has gone on, has really shown himself to be a very quality number 2 when healthy. But the Buccaneers' offense has not been in sync. Chris Godwin struggling to get the ball. That's nothing new for the season. Mike Evans, same kind of a deal, right? Struggling to get Mike Evans the ball in recent weeks. It's just not there. And to me, something I personally watch, and it bothers me a little bit, is the constant use of Trey Palmer. I think Trey Palmer, I'm not trying to knock him. I'm not trying to say that he's a bad player. I just think Trey Palmer has high potential and isn't there yet. And the Buccaneers put him in a lot of key spots. They asked Trey Palmer to come through for them a lot of times in a game. And I think more times they rely on Trey Palmer than they should. Should he be involved? Yes. Should he get the opportunity to make plays? Yes. Does he need to be targeted in traffic and over the middle on third downs or get key opportunities on deep shots? That's where I kind of scratch my head a little bit with some of the decision making there. As far as the Bucs defense is concerned, I don't think that they looked dominant because, again, if the Carolina Panthers line up correctly, they let up a huge rushing touchdown, which allows the Panthers to get back at the game. At that point, it's going to be a 7-9 game, and the Buccaneers offense is going to have to really control the game, run it out, or it gets a little dicey. And if Antoine Winfield Jr. doesn't make a great, just absolutely fantastic individual play, the Buccaneers let up a touchdown there as well. So the Buccaneers defense plays well. I don't think they were dominant. Again, they were asked to do a lot because they pretty much had to pitch a shutout to win. That's a lot to put on your defense. They do come through and get you that shutout, but they don't do it in the most satisfying fashion. So listen, for the Buccaneers, it's a playoff berth, and it's the 3rd consecutive year the Tampa Bay Buccaneers clinch the NFC South. They have the NFC South title again. That's a big deal for Tampa Bay. It's the 4th consecutive season the Buccaneers are in the playoffs. That's a big deal for this football team, and whether it was ugly or not, it's a win, and the Bucs are in the playoffs. And it's something you can't take for granted. It's something you have to appreciate. No matter what happens next week and moving forward, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2023 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are in the playoffs, a long season, and they're in the playoffs. You have to just appreciate the fact not every team gets to make the playoffs. There are fan bases out there who very rarely, if ever, get to see their team make the playoffs, and this is the 4th consecutive season that the Buccaneers have done that. With a quarterback change and a lot of controversy surrounding this team in the offseason, here we are. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in the playoffs. Let's see what happens.